Thank you so much. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining today's webinar for the University of London's Computer Science programme with Coursera. My name's Nisha. I'm an enrolment counsellor. Joining me today are fellow enrolment counsellors Ankit and Pedro, who will be answering your questions in the Q&A box as we go along. We also have our colleague Alessia from marketing joining us today. She'll be behind the scenes doing the slides, so thank you, Alessia. And we also have a wonderful guest to introduce you to. We have Liz Wilkinson, a careers consultant from the University of London, joining us today, who will be answering all these questions that we have. So we'll be in a live Q&A with her. And thank you to everyone who sent those questions in. Very excited to get through those. Then after that, we'll go through information about the University of London's career information that will be within the slides and the questions. Then we'll talk about applying for spring 2024, and then we'll have the live Q&A at the end. So just to let you know, if you have a question for Liz, please do label it so that we can answer it at the very end. But yeah, we have a really fun packed agenda. So let's get started. Great. So I'm very excited to introduce Liz Wilkinson. Hi, Liz. How are you today?
Lovely to be here. So a warm welcome to everybody. I'm a senior careers consultant with the University of London Career Service. And in particular, I'm the dedicated careers consultant for our technology programs, including our BSc Computer Science program.
Thank you, Liz. We're really excited with all your experience and everything that you know and your knowledge. I know we have lots of students joining us today, so let's go through some of these questions and let's get kick started, shall we? So let's go on to the first question. Thank you. So this question came from a student of mine called Delga Salad. She came up with a really great question of how do you perceive the current growth trajectory of the tech industry in the UK? Specifically, what changes do you foresee in this industry? Are there any indications of increased opportunities within the future job market, especially?
So when I was thinking of how I would answer this question, I actually reference a current series of podcasts. So we at the University of London Career Service interview alumni, employers and current students. And I've just done a series on working in technology. And I think that when I talk, I asked this sort of question of all of them. And I think what we can expect of the technology job market is that some areas will increase and some will decline. It's a very moving market. So I think that it's impossible to sort of give a meaningful generalized answer to this question. But what I would encourage anybody who is looking in technology is to go in with the attitude that your initial study in computer science gives you both some core technical building blocks, but also quite a lot of important soft skills and the ability to be agile for you to learn the software and the tools that neither of us know that exist yet. Yes. So I think we can continue to expect high levels of change. I think you can continue to expect high levels of turbulence. The technology market is critical to many industries. But I also think that studying that market, if you go in expecting change, then actually you'll be able to ride the waves. And I mean, I work with a lot of experienced professionals in the technology market, and at any point they will have had to reinvent themselves. But there's technology is always morphing, and it's becoming embedded in all activities. So I hope that's the best answer I could give you, informed by people I talk to in the industry, to sort of say, yes, I think it's going to grow. Yes, I think it's going to change. Yes, I think it will continue to be what it is now, which it's always been, a bit of a roller coaster.
I agree with you on that. I find as well the tech industry has grown massively in the past few years. There's been more of a demand, especially within the UK markets. Do you feel like you would agree on that?
Well, I mean, it is cyclical. And I think that's it. So certainly, I mean, there are two. And also the tech industry now is comprised of many different subsectors. So within our computer science program, we offer something like, I think it's 8 pathways now. So, yes, for example, I was doing a webinar recently with the Institute of Analytics, and they were talking a lot about the growth expansion within data science. So if I've got any budding data engineers in the room, then the prospects for data engineering are looking very positive. There's a real demand at the moment. So I would agree with you that actually what I think is that it is really diversified. So when you are thinking about that, it is worth thinking about what sort of which aspect of technology are you likely to be work? Are you more on the application side? Are you more on the data side? Are you more on the machine learning side? Are you more on the game development side?
Yes.
And that will also help you get a sense and look at some job titles and start getting a sense of the areas that interest you.
That's great advice. Thank you, Liz. I think that will hopefully answer that question. Great. Let's go on to the second question that we have here. So this came from another student called Matt Young. He's mentioned, what are some common career paths that graduates from the bachelor's degree in computer science, this program specifically, pursue? Are there any less conventional paths students might not be aware of as well?
So it's really, really good question. And I think also it's worth bringing in the fact that we have students studying the BSc Computer Science at a range of different stages in their career. Yes. So we have people who are career starters, and this is their first degree, and they've got relatively limited work experience. But because we are a distance learning program, and also because of the growth of the technology industry that we mentioned earlier, we also have a number of people who are pivoting and career changing into the field. So they might have quite a lot of experience elsewhere in other sectors and are now feeling that actually they want to enhance their understanding of computer science. And we also have people who've been working in the tech sector for a while, but actually haven't got formal academic qualifications and are realizing that they are perhaps facing some barriers and that they need graduate status. So I think perhaps if talking about the less conventional paths, I think it rather depends where you start on what you are most interested in. So I mean, basically with the pathways that we offer, gives you quite a good indication of some of the main themes within computer science, and particularly in the sort of harder technology end. But I think it is also worth flagging that some people, particularly people who feel that sort of UX or sort of application facing, that some people will having got a bit of technical credibility, will then move into what I would call technology business. So they understand enough to have credibility, but very quickly move into leadership, marketing, communication, customer facing roles.
Yes.
I think as also, of course, those who are interested in either joining somebody else's startup or their own startup. So we're running a program in January, which I'm going to be chairing, all about entrepreneurship. So perhaps it might just be worth flagging that up. As well as the people who have, so for example, we have people in our programs who have come from, say, for example, a health background. They may have worked in the health sector for 15 years and are now, wanting to explore computer science. It's quite likely that they will combine those two areas of expertise. So for those of you who are coming in with existing work experience, then to some extent, because tech touches everything and is more, then actually, you are quite likely to find opportunities which are a sort of hybrid of your experience. So I hope that addresses that question.
It does, thank you. I think the only concern that we have from students when we speak to them is that I think some students are worried that not having working experience in IT and just having the degree, will it be enough to land them junior roles or even, a bit more intermediate roles within tech? But you've kind of just answered it in the sense of different industries will have different tech within their roles. So there are kind of different ways of getting into it.
Yeah, I mean, certainly it's in computer science. I mean, whatever your career stage, it is worth, while you are studying with us. I mean, many of you will be continuing to work while you are studying with us. And some of you will be working full time, some of you will be working part time. So we do encourage you to continue to enhance your work experience while you are studying, and to look for opportunities in which you can capitalize on getting more tech-related work experience. So we work with both Bright Networks and the Forage, who offer quite a lot of virtual internships and insight opportunities.
Great.
So I think it is important that for your overall strategy,
Yes.
that you combine that. And also I was doing some work recently with a student of mine. We were co-presenting something, and he talks about the value of the collaboration skills and the projects that you do as part of the course.
Even
So I
better.
think that because being successful in the tech industry does involve quite a lot of project management,
Yes.
and soft skills, it's important that you can evidence those. But both within the program and also within the support you get from the career service, we give you sort of encouragement, suggestions, and opportunities to do that.
Thank you. That kind of leads me on to my next question really perfectly. So thank you, Liz. If we go on to the next slide. Thank you. So this question, what specific skills or competencies do employers in the tech industry specifically seek from graduates with a bachelor's degree in computer science? And I appreciate you have some information about employability skills on the next slide. So we can go on to that so you can answer that.
Don't go on to that one quite yet. So first of all, let's talk technical skills. So clearly the program is designed to both give you skills within particular programming languages, which are chose to be the ones that both are good core languages, but also teach you the skills of programming, and they're slightly different things. So first of all, I think you can have confidence in the languages you will learn, but also you will learn that skill of learning how to learn programming languages, because in 5 years' time you're going to be coding in something else. And so the program is designed to give you that sort of mental mindset to code with impact and rigor. Having said that, depending on the pathway that you follow, there that you will have, there will be other languages. And also, and I know this from working with my computer science students, as you work out the sort of the bits of your technology, and I'm thinking particularly of my computer science students who are interested in game development. Yes. I know a number of them take the opportunity to do Coursera short courses to amplify their particular languages, because they're getting a sense of where they want to go. They're having a look at job ads and they're thinking, actually, I want to add to my language portfolio. So I think you do have to be strategic. I mean, some of you are coming into this course and you've already got coding experiences. For some of you, and I have a lot of respect for that, this is going to be the process through which you learn the discipline of coding. Yes. But what I would say, and those of you, I'm sure I'm speaking to people who speak 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 human languages. That's quite common in our programs. So those of you who've done human language learning will know that the first language you learn a language and you learn how to learn a language. The second one, you've got that, and there's a lot of similarity. So I think it is worth thinking about those languages. But then, of course, and then now could we go on to the slide, the other part of it is your employability skills. So we in the career service do a lot of very explicit, what we call the global employability skill development. So this is the range that we use. We've based it on work from the World Economic Forum, and we also talk to employers a great deal of time and spend quite a lot of time looking at job ads. And certainly, and for those of you working will know this, that technical competence is not enough, and certainly in a very fast-moving environment that is technology, those complex problem skills, those collaboration skills, that emotional intelligence. So we also that adaptability and resilience, and you will see those words in job ads. And actually, if you've got 2 people who are equally good technically, then it is often the person who can construct the narrative that evidences their soft skills or employability skills, which means that they are going to make more of a contribution to the organization, who will get the job.
Very interesting that soft skills also has a play with the technical skill sets. It's almost as if they hold just as much value sometimes, like you just mentioned, especially if you have 2 profiles who are pretty much the same.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, and I think for those of you in the workplace will know, I mean, basically technology is a team environment.
Mm.
And therefore, those communication skills, that leadership, that persuasive negotiation, and collaboration, absolutely critical
Yes.
to be, because what you are preparing to be is a technology professional. So in a way, that we could use this, we choose to use the words global employability skills, but we're also talking here about your professional skills, how you handle yourself. And I know from my discussions with our current students that they find that the course themselves, helps them develop those skills, helps them evidence that skills. And that's certainly something we seek to amplify as a career service.
That's fantastic. And that's really great to understand. I have another question for you. This question is from our student, William Vosper. He's mentioned, what specific support structures or accommodations does the University of London's Career Services have for individuals who suffer with Asperger's or on the autism spectrum to aid them in navigating, career-related challenges and opportunities?
That's a great question. I'm really glad you asked it. So I'm going to broaden it slightly to neurodiversity because actually we design our material to be accessible as possible. And that includes the element of neurodiversity. So our resources are made available asynchronously and recorded. That the information, when we produce information, we do look at its accessibility. We try and make available in bite-sized chunks, so you can do it at your own pace, and you can revisit the material. So everybody's neurodiversity is slightly different. So what we try and do is we try and provide you with options so that you access our resources in a way that suits you best. We're also, developing. So recently we were having a conversation with an organization called Auticon, which is something that's an organization who specializes on employment in the technology sector with people with on the autistic spectrum. So we're in conversations with the organization to see what we can do to increase accessibility. So it is, we work in a big university environment. We think about all sorts of accessibility. And we're all seeking to improve. So there's ways that people can actually, there's a way if there are particular adjustments that you need, that you can, communicate with us and request them. But I hope the fact that we do try and provide our material in a range of formats, that we do engage with employers with whom also we have panel events and you can ask questions about the provision that they make. It sort of makes it a more accessible environment.
That's really encouraging to hear. And it's really nice that University of London offer those services. So thank you so much for answering that. So the next question that we have available is from a student of ours. They've mentioned, are there networking events, workshops, or even industry connections available to students who study the program, just so that it can help them connect with people in the tech industry?
So I mentioned our employer panel. So one of the things about the University of London is the size and diversity of our cohort. So we have around 50,000 students all over the world, many at many stages of their career. So I think, first of all, we encourage our students to network with each other and with our alumni. We have a LinkedIn page, and often at our webinars, and we run our webinars, there's normally a couple of careers webinars every week, and which you will often see students network with each other because one may be working in one industry or one region of the world, and they are connecting. So I do think that sort of current student and alumni community is an important part of your networking, but also that we do, as I said, I mentioned our sector panels and the fact, we've done several working technology panels. We're just putting them, I've just done one with the Institute of Analytics on data science. We're just putting the one together for the summer. And for example, we also do individual events with individual employers. So for example, I'm doing a session in the spring with Goldman Sachs. As with someone who's a software developer there. So, and you know, some of those employer representatives are generous enough to be happy to be linked in with. But I would say, and when we do sessions on LinkedIn regularly, but I would say actually, and this again, I mean, I know that on BSc Computer Science, a lot of them are networking on GitHub. We've got an active Slack channel. One of the things I think one of the real powers of this program is you see people sort of building working alliances. So for example, there's a couple of students I've been working with quite closely, and one of them is in Venezuela and the other one is in Manchester, and I know they chat on Slack. And so I think it is that sense that, you know, and they're going to be chatting to each other for the rest of their professional careers, probably. You know, these connections are the sort of things that will maintain as people go forward. So you do become part of a cohort. And I think it's worth emphasizing that, because it's distance learning study, that actually of all our programs, computer science, I think, are the ones who are most adept in the digital networking across the program. And, you know, we seek to encourage that, but I'm also very well aware that a lot of it is student-led.
I think it's great because it's such a global cohort. You can speak to someone from Manchester or Venezuela, and you can get that connection that you probably wouldn't get on a campus, because campus, you only see the people that attend there. Whereas the online program really does open up so many different connections, speaking to so many students. I know students in the past have told us how wonderful it is. So I think that's a really great tip. Thank you, Liz. I appreciate that. If we go on to the next slide, I believe there's some information you wanted to share about your career webinars. Is that correct?
So I just wanted to highlight this, and I've referenced them a little. So is that we do, as part of the careers service, we do have both a central careers program, and I'll come to a moment to the things that we do, particularly for BSc Computer Science. But, you know, just, you know, and if I may, I'll just, you know, pick out a few of the things on here. Just so that I just picked October. And so, for example, what could you have attended in October? And this is all of these central webinars are open to all our students. You can attend as many as you want. We offer them to twice a day for maximum time zone availability, and we also record them. So you might have come to a session, which actually I happen to lead, on how is AI going to change the media. So we do a great amount of work on AI and the future of work. Because I think we buy, and we'll be flagging some of those later, we buy various software tools on your behalf. So there's one coaching you on how to use a tool called Interview Prep, which helps you prepare for online interviews. There's a session helping you, those who are on career development, how you can perhaps you're ready for promotion, how you can prepare for that. We might have been one on career change or starting out. The Ask Your Careers Live are sessions where you can pose any careers related question. So I'm not going to go through all of them, but you just get a flavor of, you know, that every week you've got live opportunities, not only to benefit from that, but also that's where I think quite a lot of the student cross-disciplinary student networking takes place. And then if you can just move on to the next slide. But also, as well as that, I, as the senior careers consultant for the tech programs, I organize a range of events and webinars for my tech programs. So something that I tend to do in January is focused on GitHub. So particularly people who are new to coding and they're thinking about their GitHub profile. So we do a session about how to do that. So that's one of the slides from that. And also that's again, so we're doing something I think in February on virtual internships in the tech industry. So as well as the central things, you get things that, and you know, and basically in consultation with the program director and with current students, we say, what are you particularly concerned about at the moment? And we give opportunities for you to explore those topics.
That's fantastic that you tailor it to more what students need. I think that's really fantastic that University of London take on feedback from what students are wanting. So I might be joining myself. Who knows? That sounds interesting to me. Let's go on to the next question, shall we? So the question that we have here is, what resources can students access from the University of London to support them in their career? I know you had some information on this as well. So just wanted to put the question out there for you.
Sure. If you pop the next slide on. So some of it I mentioned, So I've mentioned about our live events and our employer events, but also something that's very popular with computer science is we create our own online learning. So one of the things we've done at the Career Service is we've created 2 micro modules. These are completely free of charge to you while you are a current University of London student. And they are a structured pathway that people work through, looking at different aspects of creating a career plan, and also looking at the aspects of sort of enhancing their professional skills. They've been very very popular with our students, and people have said that they like the bite-sized structure. So people tell me they take about 6 to 12 hours, but you can do them in chunks. And I think that we are a career service designed specifically for our online and distance learners, and we are aware that your time is really precious, and so we try and give you stuff in very time efficient ways. We're also aware that many of you will be changing jobs, changing careers while you are studying with us. And so we expect to see you. And of course, also, we offer you support for 2 years after the end of your course. So our recent alumni. So all of that we sort of build into our resources. I mean, our strapline is, whatever you're studying, wherever you are in the world, and whatever your career service, we're here to help you develop your career and your employability. And I think I would also want to highlight that we do quite a lot on regional markets. So, I think we're going to have another slide coming up later, but just to highlight that we do have vacancies. So we source vacancies, and we deliberately source those to be from all around the world, in reflection to our students are from all around the world. So that's just a little advert for the Career Service.
I love that. Fantastic. And by the way, I can see loads of people asking questions. Thank you so much. Please keep asking them. We will be getting to you guys in the next 10 minutes. So we'll go through the rest of these questions and slides. But this is really interesting. We wanted to understand a bit more about about the career set from University of London.
So this is an example of the software that we buy on your behalf. So we buy our own AI tools, and this is one which actually enables you to get AI feedback on your CV. So you can upload your CV as many times as you get, and you will get personalized feedback. I mean, AI is transforming our world as well. When I say tech touches everything, including your career service. And so this is just one of a range of ways in which we are always looking to see where we can use technology to provide you with better career support. And I would say Career SCAT and it's hugely popular with my computer science students. We promote it to them a lot, and and the feedback we've had is extremely good. And if you could just move on to the next slide. So, and this gives you some other eyes. We have what we call the digital toolbox. And so I mentioned an interview prep earlier, but there's Glowing Global. So that's as a resource we commission, because that gives quite a lot of briefings on career markets across the world. Mm-hmm. So I think, basically, we work with the program director to create career support that you can access as soon as you join us as a student, all the way through your program, as your career development needs change, and for 2 years after the close of program.
That's brilliant. That's really great to understand. Thank you. And then I believe we have another question for yourself. So I believe this is the last question that we have for you, Liz, and thank you so much for all your answers. They've been fantastic. One of the questions that we got was from a student called Stuart King. He's asked about if University of London could share some success stories of alumni from the computer science degree, maybe how the university career services supported them after their graduation. But I know you've just mentioned that you will be supporting students even 2 years after they graduate, which is fantastic to understand.
Yeah. So if we can just move to the next slide. So I think if you want to hear some inspirational alumni, then I would really encourage you to access our podcast series. So we're available on Apple, on Spotify, on Amazon Music. We have our what's known as our global career course series, and you'll hear some of our alumni speaking there, yet many of whom have pivoted. And I think that's sort of something that's quite distinctive about the fact, the fact that we do have people. You have one of my students up in one of the images, I recognized him. So we have people starting out, and we also, and one, I think just recently I broadcast an interview with a student called Sebastian Ramirez, who's a current student. And if you want to get a flavor of what it's like to study our program, I really recommend Sebastian's episode. So I think if we can move on, I think it might be the next slide. That's the agree. So I'd say if you want to hear some inspiration, I would check that out. And also, we invite the many alumni come back. So when we do our tech programs, they're often, they're a mix of alumni and employers. So I think that that in terms of success stories, I think first of all, it's quite important to say that success means different things to different people.
Yeah.
So some people want to come and work in tech because actually that works well with family life. So one of my interviewees in my series talked about how working in data science has enabled her to progress her career while she's got a lot of family care responsibilities. For some people, they want to work for the big brands and make the big bucks. For other people, what they want is a good work-life balance, or perhaps some hybrid working, or they want to move into another country. So I think and you really do see that success. But if you want to get a flavour of what our alumni go to do, I think probably Global Careers course is your best bet. And I have to say, I am frequently inspired by my BSc computer science students. I have worked in this space for 34 years. I have never had such an inspirational cohort of students as the global classroom of our University of London BSc computer science program. So, you join us and you will be inspired by the fellow students.
That's really lovely to hear. And thank you so much. Your experience and knowledge is incredible. It's so valuable. And thank you for letting us ask all these questions to you as well. And yeah, you make a really good point about the cohort. Every time we speak to computer science students as enrollment counselors, we're just amazed about how wonderful and experienced they are and their motivations. And I would highly recommend to apply for the computer science degree with the University of London, but I am biased, so it makes sense. But thank you, Liz. I appreciate it. What will happen now is we're going to go through just a few more questions and information about the slides and about applying and the tuition fees. So I'll go through this now. There will be an upcoming poll as well, just for students to know. Please do answer this. And whilst you're answering it, we'll then be able to go through the information. But the question is, are you interested in applying for the University of London's online computer science degree programme for April 2024? There's yes, no, but I'm interested in applying in the future, and no, I'm not interested in applying for this degree. So I'll give you guys a second to take the time to vote for this, and then we can get started on the information about how to do the application process. And I can see there's lots of questions. Amazing. We've had 97 people say yes, they're interested. Well, let's get started then, shall we? So applications are now officially open. They opened yesterday. So for those who have yet to apply but wish to go forward, Ankit will drop this into the chat box below, but you can start an application today. So for those in the process of applying, the early deadline to submit is February the 12th. I'd highly recommend applying before that deadline, as we have a new promotional offer that when students submit their application, they will get access to study Meta's WhatsApp business platform for developers for free. If you're unsure as to which admissions route you're eligible for, the university recommends that you apply through the standard admissions route. If you don't meet the standard entry requirements, don't worry, they will automatically assess you for performance-based. Please do ensure that you don't make duplicate entries. If you have done so, let us know under which email address you've used so that we can help you. But I'm going to break down a few of the application components to ensure you submit a very strong and complete application to hopefully calm some nerves. So you'll need a scanned copy of your ID. Driver's license, birth certificate, passport. So long as it has your full name and a picture, should be fine. You need a personal statement of 100 to 250 words. Now, this isn't a trick question. It's a paragraph long. It's just to ensure that basically you can put across to the admissions panel why you're interested, why you think you'd be a good fit. Talk to them because they'll be the ones reading through your personal statement. You'll also need to upload a scanned copy of your transcripts and certificates for either your high school diploma, your GCSEs, your A-levels. If you've done a previous bachelor's, put that forward as well. You'll always need a signed, stamped copy from your institution. If it's in a different language, you'll also need to get it transcribed into English as well, alongside the original copies. You'll also need to make sure that you can put down in the English language tests. We accept Duolingo, IELTS Academic, we accept TOEFL. There's a massive list that you can look through and we can send that over to you. But altogether, the application should take about 30 minutes to complete. Once you've done so, it will ask you for an application fee of 60 Great British pounds, which is non-refundable and non-transferable. Once you've done so, then it will go on to the admissions committee panel. So let's say you've completed an application, and I want to give you a peek behind the curtains of what happens next so that you can know. So let's go on to the next slide, shall we? Great. So once you submit your application, you will receive a confirmation email that your application has been received by the admissions office and a notification of your student reference number. Keep that in hand, as it will become really important later. Each application will get reviewed within 5 to 15 business days. Weekends aren't included in this, so don't worry if you don't hear back. And please do note that University of London will be closed for the festive period from the 22nd of December to the January the 4th. So get your application in sooner rather than later, we would say. If you're missing any documents, the University of London will email you directly. They'll ask you for documentation and they'll explain what you need to provide. Otherwise, you'll receive a decision as to whether you've been accepted through standard or through performance-based. If you don't meet the admissions requirements, the admissions committee will advise you on any advisable qualifications that you need to provide in order to be eligible for the program. So after you received your offer email, you'll find information regarding on how to log into your student portal and how to pay for your modules, how to access your orientation course. During this process, please do feel free to lean on your enrollment counsellor. We are here to help you make sure that everything goes smoothly. So if you have any issues, please feel free to contact us. After you've paid for your modules and a month before the session begins, you will receive an email invite from Coursera to link your Coursera account. If you don't have one, don't worry, it will just prompt you to make a new account with Coursera. And then you'll be able to start an orientation course. The orientation course covers information about program policies, information about what you're going to be studying in the program, information about exam dates. So really important stuff. And you need to complete the orientation course in order to make sure that you have access to your modules. There are some quizzes you need to pass with 80% or above, but I can reassure you, I've done them myself and they were very easy. So you have multiple tries to get them. But one thing you should be made aware of is that we have a fantastic promotional offer that if you receive an offer from the University of London and you register and pay for the computer science program before February 26th of 2024, you can get free access to one of the following courses. You can get access to either the Google IT Support Certificate, if you complete this course, and you can obtain credits for the How Computers Work module. You can either get access to the Introduction to Computer Science. It's a fantastic specialization to introduce you to a number of themes drawn in the program, or you can get the Object-Oriented Programming Specialization. I know a lot of students love this certificate because it will give you information about C++ programming. So I know some of these programming languages will be used within the program, like Python, JavaScript, C++, C#. So have a look at that. But the session will begin on 8th of April 2024, which is very exciting. So you'll receive an announcement once, as soon as you get access to your modules. The University of London will release them and you'll be able to go into the Coursera platform and be able to access it and start studying straight away. If you do have any issues during that time, please do contact the University of London for support at bsccs@london.ac.uk. So the next slide that we have here is all about the total program cost. Now, this is a question that we get a lot from students, so I'd like to go through this. But before I do, are there any specific challenges or concerns anyone has about pursuing a computer science degree. We will have a poll upcoming now. So this will be a multiple choice question test. You can either pick balancing work and family life with study commitments, technical difficulties while studying online, funding the degree, lack of prior computing or coding experience. We do have other, and the last one is I'm not interested in pursuing a computer science degree. So I'll give everyone a few seconds to pick up on this. Please feel free to put in your votes, and then we will address this in the live Q&A as we want to make sure that everyone's voice is heard. Great, I'll give everyone just a few more seconds because we want to make sure that everyone can answer these. And please be as honest as possible so we can help you. And later on, if you want to speak one-to-one with an enrollment counselor, we'll also be able to do that for you too. Okay, amazing. So as people are voting, let's talk about the tuition. So tuition is based on residency, not nationality for the program. As you can see here, there are different price points for students based in a band A country or band B country. If you don't know which country band that you fall under, Pedro will be adding the link for the country bands in the chat. So you can check. So for example, if you're based in France, that's a band B country. If you're based in Nigeria, it's a band A country. So here on the screen, this is the range from band A to band B, the total indicative cost for the program for all 23 modules. So if you live in band A, a cost of a module is £480, but the total program indicative cost is £12,701. Now, if you live in a band B, it would be £736 for a single 15 credit module, but the total indicative cost for students is £18,887. Now, for UK students, the way that it would work is that one singular module will be £667, and then the overall cost would be £17,157. You can find details about module fees here on the university website, and it will drop it into the chat box below so you can have a clear indication. Tuition is paid twice a year before the beginning of each term, mid-March, mid-September, before you study. You only pay for however many modules you study in a semester. So if you're taking on part-time modules, it's 2 to 3. If you're doing full-time, it's 4 modules. You can pay whichever way is possible via online through credit card, debit card. There are different ways of paying through bank transfer, Western Union Quick Pay. Pedro will be dropping into the chat box below about how to pay for your fees, so you can see what would be best for you. But the university offers scholarships and bursaries. Learners should check their eligibility requirements before applying. Ankit will drop this into the chat box below so you can have a look. You do need an offer before applying for any scholarships or bursaries or grants. Please do be made aware. But the program is also eligible for Student Finance England for UK students. So please, if you have any questions on that, feel free to drop into the chat box below. But students for student finance can apply for part-time or full-time loans as well. For students who are applying for the undergraduate loan, I'd highly recommend reading through the information of the University of London's website and to ensure that you select University of London Worldwide, as you don't want your loan to go to a completely different university. So Pedro will drop this into the chat box below for you to see. But as I can see here, we have the polls back. So we have 60% of students who are worried about funding. We have students who are worried about balancing work and family with study, 39%, lack of coding, which is 18%, and technical difficulties is 10%. So thank you so much for those who answered. I'm hoping that students who are worried about funding have information regarding about this. If you wish to speak to an enrollment counsellor, you can book a meeting in with us and we can talk about any other ways of going through. But thank you so much. Let's go on to the live Q&A. So thank you to everyone for all these questions. I know we're very excited to ask Liz these questions. So thank you, Liz, once again. We're really appreciative. Before I go into the Q&As, I just want to say, please feel free to scan the QR code below. You can book a meeting in with an enrollment counsellor at a time that suits you best. As mentioned, if you want to go through any of the concerns that we've just listed on the poll, we can do that too. So we're here to help support you and make sure that you feel heard. But let's go on to the question. So Liz, I have a question here for you. This is from Sally. In the current job market, what is the optimal field that this program can assist me in?
So it's a very reasonable question. but it's also quite a hard question to answer.
Yes.
Because it depends on you, and it also depends on what you want out of your career, and also what the market is likely to look like in a few years in an incredibly fast changing. So I think one of the benefits of doing something like a computer science program is the fact that it's very flexible. So you get the core skills, you learn how to operate as a technical professional, particularly if you take those opportunities that I've been highlighting, of taking every opportunity to develop your professional skills and enrich your experience. You also, and this is we give you support, is work out what success looks like. You say optimum, that I mean, I was just looking, we've got about 110 students in prospective students in the room. We've probably got 110 optimums. So we also do help you to think about, well, what does optimum look like for you?
Yeah.
And then, because we source vacancies, we bring employer panels in, you can then go, well, where's the market opportunity? So if I mentioned earlier about, at the moment there's a real shortage of data engineers. Now, that'll be a different shortage in 3-4 years' time. So I think it is, and that market will keep changing. And so I think that one of the things you always need to think about is also, and I know this from talking to students on the course, that as particularly once they've done their first few modules, they start working out what sort of technology professional they are. And are you more on the hardware side? Are you more on the UX side? Are you more on the machine learning side?
Yeah.
I think to some extent, I could say the program, and we hope the career support, the career service, helps you answer that question so that you are able to capitalize very quickly on the investment that you're making in this study.
That's really great to understand. Thank you. I appreciate that, because it leads me on to my next question. We have a question from Zainab. She said, hello, what kind of job can I do after studying computer science? I know we kind of touched on it briefly, but just wanted to kind of explore it.
So what I encourage you to do is to look at the prospectus and look at the different pathways. Because that I think is the I've mentioned some of them as we've been going through. And so I think, the thing is actually a whole range of things. Yeah. Some of you are going to discover that you are what I would call very hardcore tech.
Yeah.
Some of you are actually say, well, no, I'm much more interested in the apps and UX side. Okay. And some of you are going to be interested in the business of tech. And that's part of the journey of discovery. So I think looking at those pathways gives you some idea of the fields in which you will work. Then clearly, and job titles change. So you've got your software engineering jobs, you've got your developer jobs, you've got your analyst jobs. But I think that I see job titles change all the time.
Yeah.
But I think it is a very good foundation for a whole range of technical related jobs, and not just technical. I think that's what I wanted to get across, the business tech.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned there are 7 different specialisms as well. So students can go from machine learning and AI, data science. I think there's games development and virtual reality, just to name a few off the top of my head. But just to give some reassurance to students as well, you aren't needing to know this beforehand. You can change all your specialism all the way up until level 6. So don't panic if you go, oh, actually, I don't want to do web and mobile development anymore. Like, virtual reality sounds way more suited for my needs. You can change this all the way up until level 6. But thank you, Liz, for answering that. I do appreciate it. We have so many fantastic questions here. So thank you, everyone. So we have one. Is it possible to specialize in dual pathways, for example, web and mobile development and virtual reality? From what I understand, now Liz, keep me honest here, I believe that you can only choose one specialism for the program and you can't combine the two. Is that correct?
So I'm not an expert on the detail of the program, but I think it does reflect. So I can't give you an article about the program, though it sounds pretty sensible to me, but I can't guarantee that. But what I would also say that reflects the reality of the technology industry is that people are trying to specialize. So the first question we got at the beginning, which was, what do you think is going to happen to the tech market? And my answer is pretty much, well, it depends. Some things will go up, some things will go down.
Yes, absolutely.
But that I think relates to the fact that it's a very diverse market. And I really wanted to reinforce what Nisha was saying about, this becomes something that you don't have to specialize as you come in, but people discern it. And I know that because I've got students talking to me about this and saying, oh, I'm actually now deciding, which I want to go into. So I think check out the detail of the program, but also what this program offers is both a really solid foundation and the opportunity to specialize. And of course, some of you will then go on to postgraduate study in that specialism.
Yeah, they do. So that's something that's quite commonly asked about, if they can then go on to do a master's degree, even a PhD. So yeah, I think it's great to understand that if you pick a specialism, then maybe you can go further in that field maybe as well. But that's great to understand. So we have a lot of questions here about, okay. So one of the questions that I have here is, can these 3 certificates from Coursera, Google IT Support, IBM AI Engineering, and IBM Applied AI be approved to potentially save on tuition costs and time towards graduation? So just to answer this question really quickly for the anonymous attendee, yes, you can. If you were to use these and study these from Coursera platform, you can put it forward as automatic transfer of credits, which is called recognition of prior learning. Those certificates specifically, they will knock off the price of a singular module for each certificate that you do. So if you want to go that into more detail and you want more information, please do scan the code and we can go through that together, you and I. But thank you for answering that. So I'm just going through some questions here. One of the questions that I have here, if a student's country of residence changes during the program, does the tuition fee also change accordingly for each module, or is the tuition fee calculated at the time of enrollment? So like we mentioned, fees are based on residency. So not nationality. If you are moving back and forth, then you can pay from the country that you're residing at the time. If you want to go through this in further detail, like I said, scan the QR code and we can talk about your specific case very astutely, and we can go through any questions that you may have. Okay. So just wanted to understand. We have a question here. I don't know if we can go through this together, Liz, but is there a platform for students who have studied at UoL so they can connect and get experience and feedback from students?
When you say get feedback from students, so
yeah, we have, is there a platform for students who have studied in University of London so we can connect them and get their experience and feedbacks?
So I think there's 2 things I would say. So first of all, LinkedIn.
Yep.
And so as you saw, we put up earlier, the University of London Careers Service LinkedIn platform, which, that, and also our it's very common, particularly for those students who are interested in working in the corporate environment where LinkedIn tends to be that. Also, we do encourage our students to be active on GitHub. So particularly for those of you who are, interested, particularly on the strong technical software development side, then one of the places you're going to meet some of your GitHub buddies will be during your course, which is why we run a session on it. So I do think we do actively encourage people to network while they're on the course, because you are going to continue to network as professional colleagues after the course. And as I say, I hope we encourage that at the University of London, because all of the webinars I was flagging up, those are all open to our recent alumni for 2 years after the close of their course. So often when I'm doing something for computer science, I won't only have current students in the room, I'll also have recent graduates.
That's fantastic. And yes, you're completely correct. LinkedIn is a really powerful tool. So I'd suggest for students to be able to connect with students through that, reach out, and maybe be able to have that conversation, and don't feel scared, feel confident in being able to do so. Let me just look through, see if we have 5 more minutes left. Maybe we can answer one more question. I have a question here. Once enrolled a student, what reassurance could you give regarding the response/attention we could get whenever we need some help, whether in a particular course or as a student in general?
Okay, so do you want me to sort of address that one? And you'll do that as a double hander?
We can do hand to help out. I think that's great.
So I think, you know, to some extent, so your support sort of divides into sort of 3 types. So you've got the academic support, and so therefore, you know, look what it says in the program description. And also, I would encourage you to take full advantage of things like the welcome webinars. So I know the people who work on this program and how much they want you to succeed.
Yes.
So therefore, you know, that you look for the opportunities, make full use of the orientation course on Coursera. And you know, there's lots of resources there to help you, whose intention is to help you succeed.
Yes.
There's also the student inquiry system, which manage most of your administrative systems. And then, as I say, as a career service, you know, that's why we have the regular Ask Your Career Questions live, which people often attend throughout their program as they're thinking, well, how does this course fit into my career development? Yeah. So there's 3 different, depending on the question, there's sort of different support structures.
I agree with you. And one thing to give reassurance to the student is that the University of London will provide help in different aspects. So not just academic help. You will get access to academic online tutors. They're the same faculty as you have on campus. Like we've mentioned here today, you have access to career services. You'll have access to the mental health and well-being. You have access to the same facilities as a campus student would. So we don't want you to feel like you might not have that kind of advice or help. Actually, it's the complete opposite. You have even more access. You'll have the Coursera tech support as well available to you 24/7 all year round. So just to reassure you that you will be able to reach out to someone, whether that be for careers like yourself, Liz, or for advice for academics, or if you just need to speak to someone about personal reasons as well, there is support and help with the University of London as well. But thank you, Liz. I really appreciate all your knowledge, your experience. It's been fascinating. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. If we go on to the next slide, everyone. I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for joining today. We have one last poll question. We have one: would you like to receive a call from one of our enrollment counsellors to learn more about the degree or receive one-to-one support with your application? You can either tick yes or no. Whilst you're doing so, I just want to let you know that there are some key deadlines. You have the application deadline for March 4th, registration deadline to register and pay for March 18th, and the classes start on 8th of April. So feel free to book a meeting, scan the QR code, let us know if you want to call and we'll be able to help. But once again, Liz, I can't thank you enough for all your time today. I really appreciate it. It's been fascinating to understand more about career services.
And like, I just wish everybody in the room every success with your academic studies and also every success in your career development. It's been a privilege to be here. I hope to meet some of you when you're students enrolled in our program. Take care now. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.